Microphone check. 1, 2, 3. Microphone check. 1, 2, 3. The time is now 1 p.m. Central European Time. Welcome to this Mechanical 2019 R1 update webinar. I hope you're all able to hear what I'm saying. My name is Anders Lindskov. I'm a senior consultant here at EDRMedeso. The presentation will approximately last 45 minutes, sorry. You're welcome to ask questions in the commentary field. You will see that as a chat field in the control panel of this GoToWebinar control panel. I hope you all will keep your microphone unmuted for the whole presentation. I will not be answering questions live. I will be following up on the questions on the following days by email. I haven't planned any breaks during this very short presentation, and as I said, it will last 45 minutes. So let's get started. Hope you all can hear me. So this webinar update will be introduction to the updates in 2019 R1, and I will also touch briefly some of the updates for the R2, which is just recently be released. Some of you have maybe not been given the release yet, but it will be given within 2 or 3 weeks from now. We will today cover the mechanical updates in the mechanical workframe. We will cover some of the workframe workflow updates that have been done to Workbench. I will touch the new object in Workbench called Material Designer. I will also touch some of the updates done to the Composites and Aqua. And lastly, I will show you some of the new features we include in the cloud solutions. Mechanical enhancements. The first thing that you notice when you open the 2019 R1 is that you now can open the mechanical without having any geometry attached. This means that you also now can transform your imported geometry. That is a very big improvement for the previous versions of mechanical. This allows you to make templates and all the kind of advanced stuff, duplicates of your geometry and etc. You can also, within this new feature, duplicate the mesh. It's fairly easy to use. You simply import your geometry and then you use the duplicate function that you maybe already know from mechanical workframe. Then you can set a parameter that could either be a rotation or translation parameter that you then can change the imported or duplicate geometries on. As I said before, this now allows us to make a simulation template. So you could store a common template for standard simulations. This has been a really big lag for ANSYS, that you needed to either do a script or a journal file or something in APDL, but now you can actually do the whole setup, make the coordinate mate name selections, loading scenarios, bond conditions, etc. outputs in a temp file. As I said before, that you can import geometry, now you also have the possibility to reattach or replace geometry, which is also something that had been needed quite a lot in mechanical. In the previous versions, you needed to go back to the geometry task in the task groups in Workbench to replace. Now you simply can connect to a new geometry task within the Workbench workframe. Another thing that's been added, and that is in the solving of nonlinear analysis. You now have the possibility to save all your restart points, control points. Some other updates that we also fancy a lot is the possibility to save directly to a database, a DB file or DB file. You can also now save to an open database file, which is included in this new release. You can also directly from Workbench now save a project as a backup, or you can archive it directly as a backup. It will do the same as you turned into the workframe of Workbench schematics and then did it from there. The project field has also been updated a little bit. So in the old, you didn't see the project star mark as it was saved or not saved. This star has been added to indicate that you need to save the database if there's were changes made. The last thing that's been added is that you, as we have included a parameterized lapse time segment, so you can jump through a parameter, say you want 3 seconds of the solution file for given load condition. The solution combination has also been updated. The previous one was very limited in its functionality. The new version here includes much more in-depth capabilities. You can now summarize different kind of solutions, linear, non-linear, also different kind of static to dynamic solutions. So it has a much broader range and usability than the old one had. Of course, you can save your solution combination to a text file, a comma-separated file, and then you can include that, so you don't have to type it every time. So if you do the same thing over and over again, you can have it as a temp. Another thing that's been added to Workbench as a general is the keyframe animation. So you will see that in Fluent and in the Maxwell and then in the electronic Workbench programs that we now can do keyframe animation. So you can do what is called a flyby, or you can have different kind of view angles and projections made. You can of course save all these videos to different kind of formats that will be including MP4, Windows EMP file, AVI file, and GIF animation files. Another thing that's very useful with this key animation that you can also include different kind of load scenarios. So as you jump through the environment of your part, you can shift the different kind of loading. So let's say this is a rotor hub for a helicopter, then you can shift that pitch angle, for instance, of the wing blades or the rotating speed of the rotor itself and so on. Here's an example. Yes. Animation has also been updated a little bit. We have added the MP4 compressed format. We also added the GIF format to the exported variables. The number of frames is still limited to 100, and the time frame is still limited to 40 seconds. If you use the keyframe animation, you can make much longer videos. With the keyframe animation and the updates to the animation features, the scripting part has also been updated. In the previous versions, the scripting the view angle and the orientation was quite tricky, to say the least. This has been updated with much more user-friendly object in Python. Here's an example that you want to view it from the front and the back, so that is a plus minus, and then the top and the bottom and so on. As you can see here, that the script lines is now only limited to some 3 lines. In the old versions, it was close to 20 to do the same kind of stuff. You can, of course, export your files either to the ANSYS viewer format, which is highly recommended, or you can export it to a flat format. That could be PNG, JPEG, bitmap, and so on. It's also included now the vector formats, both for Windows and Linux. Selection plane option has also been added for the scripting, and this was previously not possible. So now you can make a selection of a different kind of section plane, so you can look into the interior of your geometry. This is also quite straightforward, I can say. I've used it a few times myself. You can add and remove. You can, of course, clear selection plane as you would manually do in mechanical. You can type a name, make it active, direction, and so on. Fairly simple. There's also been a big lag in the previous versions. Then the important part, the 19 R2, as we generally call it, the GUI is updated. And I haven't been given the PowerPoint release yet, so I will just briefly shift to a PDF version. So as you can see, this is the release slide for the 19R2, just recently given last week. You'll be able to find them on the customer portal. The important part here is the mechanical interface. As you also can see from the agenda, is the first point on the list. So let's just run through it briefly. The first thing you notice is this much more streamlined with the other kind of ANSYS programs that is available, that will be Fluent and SpaceClaim, etc. It's much more aligned now. This also means that the old kind of multiple menus in the top is gone. Now it's all ribbons. If you like it or not, that is up to you. The same features will be available here. There is no features left out. So all the features that you had in the old GUI is available in the new GUI. You will still notice that the outline tree is placed where it's normally placed, and the property field is placed where it's normally placed. The thing here is that you can undock the property field, but you can't replace it within the GUI workframe. You can only place it here in the lower left, or you can have it as an individual view box. The same goes for the outline. So it's much more strict the layout than the old one was, where you could move around with the different kind of fields and menus and so on. Another thing that you will probably notice quite soon is the selection method. This now has been aligned with what is used in Fluent and in SpaceClaim. So you can select from left to right in a box, and then it's only what is within the box that is highlighted and selected. If you select from right to left, is all that is touching the selections. The file tab, you probably know that from other Windows programs, Word, Office package, etc. That is quite standard. Is something that has been rolled out on a lot of the Office environments. You also have a quick launch field, that it will be here up in the upper right corner. Here you can just type the command and then you're giving the command directly. So this is a gateway to you old guys who know the command from APDL. The property fields and preference fields will be very similar to the ones you already know from the previous or for the existing GUI. As I said, the selections are now tab-based, ribbon-based. So you have this home, selection, display, animation, and solution tab. And here to the right, you can see the different kind of framing and moving options. I can only enforce that you go through this PowerPoint that is available on the customer portal in detail. And there will be a lot of new things for the mechanical. I think some 100 pages is only mechanical in the next update. As the new version, you can also replace and add sections. I will not go much more into deep with this. You're welcome to look at it and ask questions. Jumping back to 19R1, we continue with the actual symmetric functions that have been updated. Sorry. General ASYS symmetric and Workbench has been improved quite a lot over the past few updates. This allows you to make a full 3D model based on just a single plane geometry. Then you can revolve around a given axis, and it can interpret the stress and strains on every kind of actual plane that would be within this geometry. Of course, they need to be axis symmetric. That's one of the key aspects here. As example is shown here, where we import a 2D plane sketch of our plug or whatever it is, and then we sweep it around the central axis. And as you can see, the mesh follows the sweeping. And it conducts a lot of nodes on the different kind of actual planes. You can then select pressure, and as you select pressure, you can see it actually applies to the whole selection plane. You can also do the same with contacts. So if you define a contact and you have set this actual symmetric option, it will know that all the edges along this face is in contact. So you only have to apply it once. Looking at the results in the post-processing analysis, you can of course see the total deformation of the combined nodes, and you can also see the stresses at the different section planes within the body. Next topic I will go to is the Material Designer. This is a new feature that has been added in 19R1. It actually was a beta version in 19.2, but now it's a fully released version. Material Designer is a post-processing microstructural program. It's mainly used for layer structures, fiber composites, etc. The goal here is that when we apply two different kind of materials, we need to find equilibrium or common orthotropic properties. These normally have to be calculated without outside ANSYS, either in a database or in your own Excel sheets, but now you have the ability to make very complex lattice structures or fiber orientation structures or fiber mapping, and then get a very exact result from this microstructural calculation. The whole calculation runs in SpaceClaim, so this is a layer on top of the already known SpaceClaim environment. So you start by defining your matrix and your fibers. That could also be like alloy and some kind of Kevlar, or it could be resin, polyester, epoxy, and then a fiber of some sort. It could be glass or whatever. These materials are normally isotropic for most of them, and then the result equilibrium engineering data is an autotropic or anisotropic behavior. I'll just show you a brief video in demonstration, so I hope you can hear the sound. If it plays. It doesn't. That was not good. Let me just try again. Brief minute. Oops. So in short, Material Designer is filling in the gap that ANSYS had for a number of years with constructing engineering data from multiple inputs of layer structures. So let me just run through what he just said. It uses a RVE, representative volume element, constructed with a unit load case to calculate the engineering values from this. You can use different kind of lattice structures. That could be cubic or pyramid. You can also define your own lattice structures. You can also use fiber alignment, different kind of fiber alignment. It could either be a statistical alignment, that is, you have some kind of spreading around a common flow direction, or it could be total random orientation. It can also be a random orientation within an XY plane, which is normally used in fiber composite layered mat that you buy off the shelf. You set the fiber volume. That is pretty simple. That is how much fiber versus how much resin that is going to be in the module. Parameter dependence, as you can see, is mostly linear for the time. They're working on a non-linear version of it, where you can have input that is non-linear, but it's not ready yet. For the time being, it's only capable with the linear material inputs, but it will subsequently result in a non-linear autonomic output, depending on which kind of parameter you apply it to. So in the shear angle or fiber volume fraction, you will have a Young modules in the y direction that is non-linear. Then you can apply that to the ACT or ACP module later on. And you can use this known fiber volume fraction or the shear angle dependence to calculate much more precise stress harmonics or displacement harmonic. That leads me to the updates for the composite, and that will both be the ACP and the ACCS. There's some updates I want to go through here in depth. That is the UD draping, which leads to what we just saw from the mechanical designer, and then we have some updates for the cutoff feature, some material plot updates, and serialization format. The draping, as I said before, now we are capable of making a very precise engineering data table that we can have the isotropic or anisotropic behavior as a shear angle. That also means that we now can have a much more precise interpretation of the fiber angle and the stiffness of this resulting mat structure. The cutoff feature has been updated a little bit. It was quite hard to use in the old versions, so now it should be more straightforward. You import some selection cutoff feature that is in a plane, and then you drape or you cut your fibers according to that. So that will be the same as grinding down the fiber mats. Also, the CAD selection tool has been updated, and this now becomes a geometrical selection rule. So here you can add some kind of foam layer type, or you can have some kind of matrix form that you want to follow when you lay up a sequence. Material plot is also available now, so you can actually plot the thickness of the Young modulus or of the different directions directly within the ACP environment. It's quite useful sometimes to see how the E1 or E2 or the G11 or G12 is actually on display here. That could sort some of the layer faults we see often, that you miss a selection of your body. There have been update to the kind of format that is laying behind the ACP. In the old versions, there was a text format of H5. Now they shifted to a binary version just for speed efficiency, but also for more flexibility within the ANSYS environment. It didn't have to. The other ANSYS programs, as you probably know, is all binary. So as ACP in the old days was a AC format, it had to be compiled every time you update it and translate it to another program, which took time. So they have shifted to a binary version, which increased the speed. Some miscellaneous things. You now have the possibility to hide all and show all directly within the outline tree of the ACP. And as I said before, the speed of opening and closing the model has been fairly improved. Some short updates on the ACCS structure. As you can see, the ACCS is the ANSYS composite cure simulation. Is in previous version it was an app. In the new release is included within the premium and the enterprise versions as a default. Mechanical Aqua has also been updated. The main thing here is that the workflow, the overall workflow with the Aqua tool has been updated. In the previous versions, it could be quite sufficient or complex to include Aqua simulations within structural simulations to get this FSI coupling done correctly. So with this new feature, it is also included with the functionality as the ACT, the ANSYS customization toolkit. So you can now directly script to Aqua from in the ANSYS IronPython console. It's not all features of Aqua that is included yet, but they are working on capturing them all. In general, the Aqua calculates the wave harmonics or wave loading on a structure, and then you can transfer this wave phenomenon into some kind of line pressure or area pressure on a structure with this FSI coupling, fluid to solid interface coupling. A little demo here, as you see in the upper left corner, that is actually Aqua. As you can see, the layout is quite similar to mechanical. You have set some kind of wave harmonics, and then you can have the loading at the different parts of this floating offshore platform. Then if you map those pressures and loads within the structure, you will see the same loads here. Another example is a jacket structure on a platform. They have some kind of wave loading on or wind loading on, then you can translate that into actual forces or bending of a beam structure. The Aqua file import has been updated quite a lot. What you see to the left is the old interface of Aqua. What you see to the right is the new interface of Aqua. The update from old project to new project has been reordered, so you only have to import 2 file versions now. The first thing you need to import is the Aqua model data file. The next one you need to update is the connections. And that should be it. The internal tank harmonic coupling, that is for mainly tanks, bulkheads and so on. It's also been updated so you can have this sloshing effect included. Yeah. So you can see the red line here is with sloshing effect is much lower, and the blue line with this sloshing effect. So you can see the peak frequency here at the lower left. Then we have a very high peak at just under 0.7 Hertz due to this undamped harmonics from this slush. Lastly, I want to go through the ANSYS Cloud, which is very new. ANSYS has invested quite a lot in the cloud solution. You maybe know that we from EDRMedeso also retails the rescale. This rescale function is actually a competitor to this ANSYS Cloud. But nevertheless, there's a little difference between the two. The ANSYS Cloud solution gives you on-demand directly HPC compliance. It works only on ANSYS Elastic units, so you don't have to bring your own license. And it works directly from within mechanical and fluent. The way it works is that you install a ACT app on your mechanical workspace. This ACT app is then linked up to an Azure database with your account and your prepaid ANSYS units. And then you select your project number, your account number, you select a data center near you, hopefully, and then you submit your project as you would submit it to a local RSM setup. You can then follow directly online the progress of the solution. That could be force conversions, displacement conversions. There could be different kind of trackers you have applied to your solution. You only have 3 different kind of settings. Here you can't select which kind of CPU and memory size is limited to what they call a small, medium, and large. And especially the small one is 16 cores. The medium, as I have been told, is 32 cores, and the last one is 128 cores for the mechanical version, at least. The small, medium, and large settings are different for the fluid interface. Yeah, you register for an ANSYS Cloud going through the ANSYS Cloud form. So you have to go through your customer portal, click on the ANSYS Cloud, and then register you there. You also then have to pay in directly. You're given a 30 days trial version at the moment, but as the 30-day trial ends, you need to pay up in front before you can use the app. So in short, install the app, launch the app into your mechanical workframe. That means you have to restart your mechanical workframe. Then you can submit jobs, you can monitor jobs while it does. You can either process within the mechanical directly, or you can post-process in the cloud. And you then have the possibility to download the results to your desktop afterwards. There's a lot of tutorials how to use it. You'll find them on the ANSYS Cloud forum. Then there's a small video again. Hopefully this one works. We just do the same here as we did before. So just to give you a brief tour here, The ANSYS Cloud workframe, you find that on the ANSYS products platform /ANSYS-cloud, and then you get into this website. You can also find it directly from the customer portal. So if you click on your customer portal, you will find it here on the right. Get started, ANSYS Cloud. I will just enforce you again to go to the ANSYS customer portal and then look at what's new. If you didn't catch it, it was here to the bottom right. Click on the what's new, and then you get into the release notes. And of course, you can find the release notes that are already gone through here in 2019 R1. They will be these ones at the top here, mechanical structural updates. There's more videos on the cloud available online. If you're interested, you can also ask us questions, and we will have hopefully be able to answer them. As I said before, EDRMedeso is also a reseller of Rescale, so we're not totally compliant with this cloud solution yet, but we're working on it. Yeah, this video just showing you, it was this one, the middle one. With this, I end my webinar presentation, 5 minutes ahead of time. You're welcome to use the last 5 minutes to post questions in either the question tab or the chat field, and I will return back to you in an email. Thank you for listening in to this webinar from EDRMedeso. Have a nice day all.